Following is a motorsports presentation of Television Sports USA, the Mizlu Television Network. From Thunder Valley Dragway in Bristol, Tennessee, Mizlu presents an International Hot Rod Association Drag Racing Championship. This Mizlu Sports Exclusive is brought to you by the Stroh Brewery Company. Family brewed quality for over 200 years. Brewers of Stroh's, Old Milwaukee, and other fine beers. By the makers of Skoal and Copenhagen, a pinch is all it takes. By Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? And by the STP Corporation. On the world's racetracks, on the world's roads, depend on STP, your car care company.
It's machine against machine, man against man. Reflexes, sheer raw speed. It's the richest drag race in the history of the sport. Hello, everybody. I'm Mike Hogwood. Welcome to Thunder Valley, Bristol, Tennessee for the Winston Springnationals. It's the richest race, as we said. Dick Rosberg, who's working with us, a former Pro Funny driver. And I'm telling you, with a lot of money on the line, $50,000 to the Pro Funny winner, we can expect a lot of action this afternoon.
Oh, yeah. These funny car guys that I've talked to are, like I say, on the edge of their seat. They're ready to run this race and win that money, because that's the name of the game, is the money and the glory, and that's what they're out here after for today.
With them going for the money and the glory, what are the chances that we could see some record speeds here at Bristol?
The speeds in the ETs today might take a tumble in the record books because of the fact that Don Perdome came very close to the ET record within 1/100th of a second. Mark Oswald in the speed department at 2:58, I believe he ran in qualifying, and the record is only 2:59, and it's very possible that he'll win that today.
The third member of our Mizlu broadcast team is Ralph Hamilton, and he's standing by now in the pro pit area.
Thank you very much, Mike. We'll be down here in the pit area between rounds of competition and, of course, at the finish line to talk to the drivers after their runs. There's always a lot of activity in the pits as the drivers and mechanics work on these 2,500 horsepower fuel funny cars and those wild 7-second pro stockers. We'll be interviewing the drivers, talking to them about their runs and what they expect to do as they work towards the largest cash purse in drag racing history. Now back to you, Mike.
Thank you, Ralph. We'll be hearing from you many more times throughout the afternoon. Right now, we're just about ready to go racing, and we'll be back with the start of the Winston Spring Nationals. But first, this timeout.
To race fans everywhere, Old Milwaukee means something great. It means the Old Milwaukee race team, racing at its best. And Old Milwaukee means a great beer. Cold, crisp Old Milwaukee beer. And smooth, golden Old Milwaukee Light.
And Old Milwaukee.
And Old Milwaukee Light.
Tastes as great as their name.
Yeah, it doesn't get any better than this.
450 degrees. That's how hot parts of your car's engine can get, even in ordinary driving.
Watch how heat and stress can break apart your oil's protective molecules. That's motor oil breakdown. STP oil treatment's heat-activated molecules fight motor oil breakdown, fortifying your oil with extra lubricants and anti-wear agents.
Get extra protection. Fight motor oil breakdown with STP oil treatment.
STP.
Your car care company.
The stage has been set here in Bristol, and we are ready to go racing. The Pro Funny Car quarterfinals are ready, and our first matchup happens to be a great one. It features Mark Oswald, the defending champion of this race from Cincinnati, Ohio, in the old Milwaukee Candies and Hughes Pontiac Trans Am. He has a tough opponent, though, and the all-time winner in this sport, Raymond Beadle of Dallas, Texas, in the Schlitz Blue Max. Beadle and Oswald, Dick Rosberg. It's going to be a great one.
Yes, this race here will probably be one of the best in the round because these two cars are probably the two powerful cars in drag racing.
There you see the old Milwaukee car, and that is what is called a burnout, where they kind of get the tires hot and sticky, and they actually spin them through some water, don't they? Yes,
the purpose of that is to lay down 2 strips of rubber so that the car has good traction when they actually go to race.
How important is traction at the start of a track race, especially in the Pro Funny Car division?
Well, as we used to say it, when you smoke your tires, you lose. And that's the way it is.
Slow motion here of the burnout procedure, getting the tires hot and sticky, is Raymond Beadle, and there you see the Candies and Hughes car, famous car owners of this old Milwaukee car, and certainly has to be the favorite today, Mark Oswald. But Raymond Beadle will give him some competition here. The cars are in the staging area now. They are pre-staged. As you see the tree, it's a pro tree. Only 2 lights will flash. Keep your eye on the bottom of the tree. You cannot leave until the bottom light flashes. And they're off. A clean start for both cars, and out in front with a good start is the old Milwaukee car of Mark Oswald, and he wins with an elapsed time of 5.822 and a mile-per-hour mark of 252, or rather 254.95. And our next race, Tom McEwen and Dale Pouldee. There you see Dale Pouldee, famous for the slipper clutch. Tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, the purpose of the clutch sliding like that is so that the tires don't spin on the starting line. And with the tires spinning, these cars would actually, the ETs would not be as good. And with the clutch slipping, it puts the power to the ground and makes these cars run the elapsed times and speeds that they do.
When you say ET, you say elapsed time. How important is an elapsed time or getting more miles per hour than the other guy?
Well, the elapsed time in drag racing is everything. As in other forms of racing, they go by speeds. In drag racing, it's strictly elapsed time. And the quickest car is the one that will win normally. Now, there have been cases where a slower car can win, but it's the driver's reaction.
Tom McEwen, the Mongoose they call him, 47 years old in the Coors Chevrolet. And Dale Pouldee in the Miller Warrior in the Pontiac Trans Am. Cars are pre-staged now. Pouldee, 34 years old, from Granada Hills, California.
Now here, these cars, Pouldee's usually a little quicker on the lights than Tom McEwen.
And it looked like Pouldee may have got him a little bit there. He's the winner of the race. His ET is 5.833, 227.84 miles an hour.
He's here in the middle of the course. You'll watch Pouldee's car as it starts to pull away, and as it gets down to the finish line, it has some smoke coming out of it. That's a sign that it has burned a piston.
So some tough luck there. There's Sherm Gunn, who is in our next race. Sherm Gunn and Billy Meyer. Meyer out of Waco, Texas, in the 711 Chief Auto Parts Ford Mustang. He has to be the favorite over Sherm Gunn in this race.
Yeah, Sherm Gunn's car is not what you'd say a slowpoke. I mean, he qualified for one of the toughest fields in drag racing here.
Well, Billy Meyer, a favorite on this Bristol track. He's leading in the points standings right now. And, of course, the winner at the end of the season in this category gets $75,000. So there is a lot of money at stake today in the Pro Funny Car division in drag racing.
Yeah, Billy Meyer in this race here is probably really going to be on his toes because his car's had trouble all weekend, and the car's had extensive tests in the wind tunnel that Ford has done. So they'll be looking for a good run out of this car.
Billy Meyer has 6 career victories on the IHRA circuit, along with 6 runner-up finishes. That places him 3rd on the all-time list. He's in the far lane in the 711 Chief Auto Parts Ford Mustang. And let's watch as he goes up against Sherm Gunn.
On the start here, Billy Meyer is kind of quick on the trigger, so we'll have to watch that too.
Well, he gets out clean, and he jumps out to a big lead. Billy Meyer's going to run away with it.
Yeah, these cars here, and like I say, on Meyer's car, it has been in the wind tunnel test, and it really runs good at the other end of the track.
Well, Billy Meyer certainly establishes himself as one of the favorites here in this race. At a lapse time of 5.868, 236.84 miles an hour. That's Al Segrini. Al Segrini is in our next race against Denny Savage. And if there was a slow race in this heat, this might be it, but still it should be a good one. Segrini, 40 years old, in the Fabergé Super Brute car. Denny Savage in the Joe Pisano Racing Dodge Daytona.
And Denny Savage has not been in funny car racing here for a few years, and he used to drive another car that came to Bristol quite often.
Well, this IHRA race here is the first competition for Savage since he won the Pro Funny Car World Championship back in 1978. So Savage has been off the circuit for a while. Segrini would have to be the favorite in this race. He's been competing on the IHRA trail now for over a decade. There you see the burnout. As we told you, this is just getting the tires hot. When you're a driver in the car at this point in the race, what are you thinking about? What do you concentrate on when you start edging up towards that line?
Well, in this point where you're just smoking the tires, trying to do the burnout, you're trying to keep the car straight as you can, so that when you actually, the light turns green and the car leaves on the run, that you'll stay in those tracks.
How hard is it watching the Pro Tree? And maybe you can elaborate on that a little bit. How tough is it with your reaction time, which is what we call the time it takes you to see the light and put the pedal to the metal, so to speak? How tough is the concentration? How hard is it to watch that tree?
Well, what you have to concentrate on is what I used to do, is you have to run your own race. Each driver is running his own race, and he's not really racing the other car. He's trying to do the best he can.
Okay, Segrini and Savage trying to do the best they can. And it's going to be Denny Savage, 6.069 elapsed time, 242.58 miles an hour, and he moves on now to the semifinals.
In this run here, it looks like Al Segrini's car was running pretty good, and then all of a sudden just lost power. He might have broke something in the drivetrain.
Well, a great quarterfinal round here. It'll be Billy Meyer against Denny Savage, Mark Oswald, and Dale Pouldie in the semifinals. And we'll be back with the quarterfinals of the Pro Stock Division in just a moment.
Most guys spend Sunday taking it easy. Not me. When I'm racing a Bandit, there's no taking it easy. So I'm out here early before a race trying to relax. Just me and my scope. Just a pinch gives me real tobacco pleasure without lighting up. And that wintergreen flavor's a real winner.
Go smokeless with Skoal or Copenhagen. A pinch is all it takes.
Roger Staubach for Rolaids.
When I race through a meal, I get terrible indigestion.
How do you spell relief?
R-O-L-A-I-D-S. 100% relief.
R-O-L-A-I-D-S. I've tried others, and Rolaids is what really works for me.
Like a sponge, Rolaids antacid medicine consumes 100% of the acid required to give millions 100% relief.
I spell it R-O-L-A-I-D-S. And what could be better than 100% relief?
For millions of Americans, Rolaids spells 100% relief.
Before we start the Pro Stock quarterfinal round, let's go down to Ralph Hamilton.
One of the most exciting classes in drag racing today is Pro Stock Eliminator. The factory hot rods that'll accelerate from a standing start to over 180 miles per hour in less than 8 seconds. And one of the real state-of-the-art Pro Stockers is here with us right now, Roy Hill. Roy, how do you feel about this event?
I feel real good about it right now. We've run 3 runs here the past 2 days. Matter of fact, 4 runs. We run a 770, 185-90. We run a 773 and a 771, and all of them was real consistent.
Well, I know that people would like to take a look at one of these Pro Stock cars that look very similar to the car that you drive on the street, but there's quite a bit of difference. Roy, how about taking us for a tour of your Pro Stocker?
You can see the engine, how easy it is to disassemble everything. We can change motors in about 45 minutes to an hour. It's basically like your stock Mercury Capri that you just go down to the showroom floor and buy. The only difference here, we've got a fiberglass front end. We've got a tube chassis for safety features. The car is built real strong in case of an accident or anything like that. As you can see, it's a Ford Boss 429 motor that's punched out, made a little bit bigger. This was about 620 inches here.
Well, let's take a look at the inside of the car, and one of the remarkable things about these Pro Stock factory hot rods is how they can completely disassemble the car for between rounds maintenance. Inside the car, it looks a great deal different from your normal passenger car, Roy.
Yes, it is, quite a bit. As you can see, all these bars that fit right around me. Also, this safety net comes down and snaps in right here as far as keeping your arms, your neck, your head, anything like that inside the car if we should have an accident. We'll get that out of our way. We've got a shoulder harness system that we snap on. It's a 5-point deal, and it all keeps us tied in the car in case there's an accident. We make our run. As we go through the finish line, the switch panel is right here handy where I can kill the motor and hit the parachute cable all at the same time. To get on down here to the transmission, you see these 4 levers. This is a Lenco 4-speed. With all the gears forward as first gear, we use a clutch leaving the starting line, just like a normal transmission. But to go in second gear, we just go like that. Third and fourth. And it's about that quick. By that time, we've run 185 miles an hour in 7.5 seconds.
Well, Roy Hill, certainly a veteran of quarter-mile competition, one of the best cars he's had to compete with here in the factory hot rod Pro Stock division, and has to be considered a real threat this weekend.
Okay, and that was Roy Hill. He'll be running the second race of the Pro Stock quarterfinals. Up in the first race will be Billy Ewing from Snellville, Georgia, and he will be running against Reed Winston from Atlanta. Winston is known by many as the Flying Plumber, and he has tough competition in Ewing, who prior to this season, Ewing had been on the finals only one time, but this year, 84 has been a new season for Billy Ewing from Snellville, Georgia, in his 1981 Camaro there. He has really been running well in this competition.
Yeah, these cars here, if you watch these cars, these guys really have to be good on the Christmas tree as far as leaving on the green light, not to be late, because these cars run so close together that if they're a little bit late on the starting line, they'll lose the race.
At stake is a spot in the semifinals. Looks like a good race. And the winner is going to be Billy Ewing. Ewing with an ET of 7.720, 180.36 miles an hour. A good race. Up next, Roy Hill, who you heard from just a few moments ago in that interview with Ralph Hamilton from Sophia, North Carolina. They call him the Hillbilly.
Yeah, Roy Hill's car here is this Mercury Capri, which is a very good running car. I would have to kind of watch that car myself.
He's going against Joe Lapone Jr. from Newton Square, Pennsylvania, 28 years old. This is the first full year of competition for Lapone, who did see some action last year but didn't make it a full-time occupation. And they are in the staging area. The cars in the pre-stage now. They're staged. And we're ready to go racing. Joe Lapone and Roy Hill. Hill is in the far lane.
Looks like Roy Hill got a red light on that start.
So it's an easy ride for Joe Lapone. 7.709, 180.36 miles an hour. And let's watch again and explain to us about just what a red light is and what it means.
A red light usually is when the driver lets the clutch out before the light turns green, and he's pulled out of the staging beams, and that's the hardest way to lose a race.
Joe Lapone Jr., one of the bright stars and the upcoming stars in this sport. Never made it to the finals, but maybe he will today. Let's go down to Joe Lapone right now with Ralph Hamilton.
It's a good run. Track's definitely there. We got a little too much traction in second. The car wheels a little bit, but I was real happy with the run. The track's in just excellent condition here.
So you feel confident about the rest of the day?
Oh, yeah.
Joe Lapone feels confident. Darrell Alderman feels confident from Moorhead, Kentucky. He will be going up against Johnny Dowie from Columbia, South Carolina. Dowie maybe a little bit favored in this race.
Yeah, Darrell Alderman is probably, you might say, kind of a rookie at this. He hasn't been driving a Pro Stock too much.
Johnny Dowie, 32 years old, drives a car called the Home Wrecker. Let's see what the Home Wrecker will do towards Wrecker and Mr. Alderman. don't know about a home record, but I'll tell you, Johnny Dowie certainly went a long way toward wrecking the dreams of Darrell Alderman on this day. 7.748, a good ET. Let's watch it again.
Here about halfway down, it looks like that Darrell Alderman's car, he's either missed a gear or he's done something wrong or the motor has gone away in the car.
Johnny Dowie is being approached by Ralph Hamilton and is just climbing out of the car now. And let's go down now and hear from the home wrecker himself.
Johnny Dowie, one of the real veterans of these factory hot rod pro stock machines. How did it feel, Johnny?
It was a good pass. It was a good pass.
Feel as if the Carolina-based Chevrolet can go all the way?
I don't know. We're going to give it a good try. We're going to give it a good try. It was a good fit. The track's in good shape. I think we can go all the way.
Best of luck to you, Johnny Dowie.
Johnny Dowie's still alive, and so is Bob Glidden, but he has got a tough competitor here. Lee Shepard, who has dominated this division like no other division in drag racing. Lee Shepard has just been phenomenal, and Glidden has his work cut out for him.
Yeah, Lee Shepard is probably what you'd say the kingpin, but Bob Glidden in his Ford Mustang is nobody to be reckoned second best with.
Okay, let's see how Glidden, 39 years old, from Whiteland, Indiana, will do against 39-year-old Lee Shepard, who is from Arlington, Texas. Interesting note, many of these engines were built by Shepard that he competes and runs against. And this is a close race. Wow, this is a good one. Too close to call almost by just the naked eye, but Shepard has won it, an ET of 7.605.
It's a good thing that in a race like this that they have electric timing devices, because if you had to call this one by eye, you'd never guess who was the winner.
Well, the winner was Lee Shepard. He moves on now to the semifinals. He's the current points leader, the chase for the 1984 title. Coming up next, the Pro Stock semifinals. But first, this timeout.
That's Cal Petty's Thunderbird up ahead now. It's specially prepared and modified for racing.
Ford consultant Jackie Stewart.
Over the years, we've learned a lot from all kinds of racing. Things that make their way into the kind of car you drive today. The aerodynamics, the turbo technology, and the double shocks in the rear of this Thunderbird Turbo Coupe were all pioneered by racing. Racing's quite an educator.
Have you driven the best-built American cars? Have you driven a Ford lately?
Sounds like there's a bear in the beer.
What are we going to do?
I'll be right back.
Where's he going?
He's going to get that beer from that bear.
That's not just a bear. That's a grizzly.
Yeah, but that's not just a beer. That's fire-brewed Stroh's. I thought we had 3 cases.
Well, had to make a deal.
Stroh's and Stroh Light, fire-brewed for smoother taste.
After you go through an entire weekend of elimination, by the time you get down to the semifinals where we are in the Pro Stockers, your dreams are really pretty much on the line here. You think you can do it. Billy Ewing from Snellville, Georgia. Look at the determination in his face. He has to go against Johnny Dowie from Columbia, South Carolina. Tell us about this matchup.
This is where the chips are really on the line, because now it's down to 4 cars. The winner of this will be in the final and the chance for the big money.
Johnny Dowie, 32 years old, Columbia, as we said. Billy Ewing had been on the finals only one time prior to this year, but he's really been coming on, and we'll sit back and watch him race as they head down the strip here in Thunder Valley, USA.
Now, these Pro Stock cars are pretty well even. Right there, he pulled ahead a little bit in the end.
Looked like I saw a red light on Johnny Dowie there. I may have been wrong. No, I understand it is indeed a red light. And so Billy Ewing is the winner, 7.37. Our next race, Lee Shepard, the favorite here, Arlington, Texas, against Joe Lapone Jr. And does Joe Lapone have a shot at Lee Shepard at all?
Yes, he does. He had driven a car last year for a Bill Jenkins, and he's a very capable driver. If he can get a good start and Shepard should happen to make a rare mistake, he could very well be the winner of this round.
Okay, keep your eye on Lee Shepard. He's in the far lane. He is everybody's favorite in this race today. And it looks like Shepard is nudged ahead as they come towards the finish, and indeed it will be Lee Shepard, 7.616 on the ET. And the semifinals are over. It'll be Lee Shepard going up against Ewing in the finals. Billy Ewing, as we look at the replay, and we're getting ready for some exciting action, something I know you've been looking forward to today, the Jet Car exhibition put on by a lady, the fast lady of speed, Aggie Hendricks from Chicago, Illinois. And there she is. Tell us a little bit about what we're getting ready to see and what we're seeing right now.
This is a jet dragster powered by a General Electric J85 jet engine, capable of producing 4,500 pounds of thrust. And right here, what she's doing is not really warming the engine up, but just doing some of the show business part of jet racing and making the crowd really get excited. As you can see, the one gentleman there, he's really raising his hand.
I understand, Dick Rosberg, that you also do this at many events when you're not in the booth commentating.
Yes, I drive the Stroh's Firebird, which is powered by the same type of engine as Aggie's car here. As you watch her go down the track, the car is probably running about 270 right there.
Wow. Look at that ET. Look at that speed, 274.39 miles an hour.
You might say that that's not bad for a frail little girl.
She's the first and only female to drive a jet car, and it has a lot of power. She holds 60 individual track records. Aggie Hendricks. What a run. Now it's time to move on to the Pro Funny semifinals. Dale Pool D, Granada Hills, California, against the defending champion of this race, Mark Oswald from Cincinnati, Ohio. He will be going up against Pool D, who is in the Miller Warrior. Oswald drives the old Milwaukee Candies and Hughes car. Oswald coming off his first season in the Pro Funny division, and in his first year, he won the championship. How in the world do you do that?
Well, you have to have a car that's very capable, and the mechanics of Candies and Hughes are very good. And if you'll notice that the car is a red car, where in tradition they have always had a blue car.
Paul Candies and Leonard Hughes are the famous owners of this car. And they have put together quite a team, because Mark Oswald is 15-5 in elimination competition in a funny car. And that is a pretty tough record considering the competition in this division. Pool D definitely the underdog. And again, I'll ask you, does he have a chance?
Yes, he does. But like I said, that red car over there of Candies and Hughes is probably the fastest car on the circuit today.
They inch up to the line.
Both these drivers are very quick on the trigger, so you'll have to keep your eyes paid attention to the starting line.
Let's watch the reaction time as you keep an eye on the tree. There it is. And it looks like the old Milwaukee car got out first. Mark Oswald is going to win this and move on to the finals. Oswald, an ET of 5.852, 256.41 miles an hour.
As he started going to the finish line, you can see some of the engine parts were going away as he burned a piston again.
Mark Oswald, 582 at almost 255 miles per hour, a victory, putting him into the final round of the richest funny car race in history. How's it feel, Mark?
Oh, it feels good. Just need one more. That's all.
The car performing well? You heard any parts on that run?
No, everything seemed pretty good. We're happy to keep repeating like we are. 580s like that will win a lot of races.
Okay, back to the pit area. Prepare the car for that final round, the richest funny car race ever.
Well, Mark Oswald, the defending champion, and there you see Billy Meyer. If there was ever a mismatch on paper, this might be it. Billy Meyer, Waco, Texas, against Denny Savage of Long Beach, California. And on paper, it looks like Savage in the Joe Pisano Racing Dodge Daytona doesn't have a prayer against the Ford Mustang of Billy Meyer.
Joe Pisano's car is a very strong running car. He normally races in California, and he's made one of his rare trips to this part of the country.
Billy Meyer, Waco, Texas, 30 years old. You see him in the far lane there.
Denny Savage is no beginner at this race, so he'll give him one good race.
Let's see how they get off the line here. Watch what we call the RT, the reaction time of these two cars. It looks like Meyer got out first.
Yeah, I believe Denny Savage had a problem with staging the car.
Some problem for Savage, but Meyer wins it with a good time, a 5.811.
Yes, Meyer here is definitely pulling away.
So Billy Meyer's in the finals now, and let's go down and hear what he has to say. Here's Billy.
Billy Meyer, the Ford Mustang, a 5.81 second clocking to go into the final round of the richest funny car race in history. Got lane choice going into the final, Billy.
I wouldn't have guessed it. I really thought one of those two would run about an 8.0 or a 5.78 or something.
Well, Mark Oswald, a 5.82. You with a 5.81. Very close. Should be quite a final round for that $30,000 plus first place money.
Yeah, I hope it's a good round, but I hope I'm there first.
Thank you very much, Billy Meyer. Back to the pit area to work on the car, getting it ready for that final round of Pro Funny Car Eliminator.
Shotgun Rapids, Idaho, and Old Milwaukee both mean something great to these guys. The shotgun means white water at its best, and Old Milwaukee means a great beer. Cold, crisp, Old Milwaukee beer, and smooth, golden Old Milwaukee Light.
And Old Milwaukee.
And Old Milwaukee Light.
Taste as great as their name.
You know, guys, it doesn't get any better than this.
450 degrees. That's how hot parts of your car's engine can get, even in ordinary driving.
Watch how heat and stress can break apart your oil's protected molecules. That's motor oil breakdown. STP oil treatment's heat-activated molecules fight motor oil breakdown, fortifying your oil with extra lubricants and anti-wear agents.
Get extra protection. Fight motor oil breakdown with STP oil treatment.
STP.
Your car care company.
You're a real International Hot Rod Association night runner in your authentic Night Runner t-shirt, free with this special TV offer for Drag Review, the official newspaper of the IHRA. 24 action-packed issues, only $19.95 plus. You get a sew-on cloth patch, car window decal, and full membership in the International Hot Rod Association, drag racing's fastest-growing association. Twice monthly, Drag Review brings you all the news of what's happening in the action-packed world of IHRA drag racing, plus the latest technical information. Order now. Special TV offer. Order your Drag Review and be a real International Hot Rod Association night runner in your Night Runner t-shirt. Drag Review, 24 issues, only $19.95. Write Drag Review, Post Office Box 3588, Bristol, Tennessee 37625. Drag Review, Post Office Box 3588, Bristol, Tennessee 37625. Send $19.95 or tell your credit card number. Tell your t-shirt size.
We now move to the Sportsman Eliminator Finals. This is the stock class, first of all. And first up will be Marvin Strickland of Roland, North Carolina. His competitor will be Dean Reedy from Milan, Ohio. Tell us a little bit about the Sportsman class. It's really the grassroots of this sport, isn't it?
Yeah, this is where drivers start out in cars that are a little slower, not quite as fast, get the basic skills of drag racing, and then move on.
Talk a little bit about the tree. We'll see a lot more lights flashing on this tree as it counts down as the cars move up to the staging area.
Yeah, this is a handicap start, and they run the cars based on elapsed times for their national records for each class.
By handicap, we will see one car start ahead of the other one.
The purpose of this is so that theoretically both cars will cross the finish line at exactly the same time.
Dean Reedy crosses the finish line first, but he is not the winner. Marvin Strickland is with an ET of 12.098. Dean Reedy did what we call breakout, and explain to us what that means.
Yes, that's what happens when you run quicker than the national record, and the cars are dialed in as far as the handicap start to give the slower car an advantage so that when they cross the finish line, theoretically, they should be side by side.
So a guy can really work on one of these in his own backyard and come to the drag races on the weekends.
Oh, yeah, these cars are not driven to the races. They're all towed on trailers. They're specifically built for this particular class.
Well, the stock winner is Marvin Strickland. Now we'll move on to the super stock division. As you see, Dean Reedy was on the line first, but he broke out of his time. Bob Marshall of Columbus, Ohio in the super stocks, along with Glenn Elkins from Sanford, North Carolina.
These guys run on the same type of a handicap start as does the stock cars do. They run against their national record and are given handicap starts off the Christmas tree.
Elkins has 10 years of experience. Bob Marshall's 41, a 7-time IHRA national event winner. And you see the Christmas tree counting them down.
Now here again they go. They have the slower car gets a handicap start, and hopefully that they'll cross the finish line together, and then they'll have the lights decide who's the winner.
Well, the winner was decided at the start. Glenn Elkins, as Bob Marshall red-lighted. Glenn Elkins with an ET of 11.159, 98.36 miles an hour. Glenn Elkins wins the Super Stock. And now we move on to the modified. Buck Jednak from Columbus, Ohio, in the yellow car there, against Doc Bilbrey from Willow Springs, North Carolina.
Now these cars run on no breakout because they're the same class of cars. Both cars are considered in the same class, which is a B Econo Altered.
Buck Jednak, 35 years old. He's the 1983 Modified Eliminator World Champion, and he's the favorite here. Doc Bilbrey is the self-employed owner of Performance Specialties in Willow Springs, North Carolina. The Modified Finals. Jednak is on the far lane, the favorite in this race.
Looks like Doc Bilbrey red-lighted on that round, yet he got the anxious start.
At any rate, Buck Jednak comes across the line first, 9.11 ET, 146.57 miles an hour. When you red light and you're driving a car, do you know it, or do you keep on racing? What do you feel in that car?
Sometimes you don't even know that you red lighted because you're concentrating so much on the finish line trying to get there first that you really don't pay any attention to that.
Now on to the Hot Rod Eliminator, Jim Jackson from Roland, North Carolina. And he will be running in this final round against Bob Harris Jr. from Pittsboro, North Carolina.
These cars run on a 1090 ET, which is on a Pro Tree, heads-up start. Any quicker than a 1090, and you will be the automatic loser.
Jim Jackson uses nitrous oxide in his fuel. I understand that's the same thing they use in the dentist chair, is that not correct?
Yeah, in these type of cars, when you put it into your car, it's no laughing matter.
Apparently it gives the engines quite a boost, and we'll watch Jim Jackson in the far lane running against Bob Harris Jr. in the red car in the near lane.
Now these guys will run on the Pro Tree, like I said, yellow-green.
It's a clean start, and it looks like a pretty even start with Jim Jackson out in front at the halfway point.
The other guy's coming on, and then he slows down just a little bit.
Jim Jackson is the winner of the Hot Rod division, 10.960 ET, 112.64 miles an hour. And we look at it again, it really was a pretty close race for about half full distance down the track.
Yeah, it looked like he was going to come on and maybe go around him and then just didn't quite have enough power.
And now we move on to the Super Rod competition. Don Strickland from Red Bay, Alabama, and Jerry Temple from Donegal, Pennsylvania.
These guys here run on a 990 elapsed time. They can't run quicker than that. They also run on a Pro Tree yellow-green with a heads-up start.
See the cars going through their burnout. All these cars, no matter what the classifications, they all do that same burnout procedure, don't they?
Yes, on these type of cars, it's even more critical than on the pro cars.
Don Strickland of Red Bay, Alabama, against Jerry Temple in the finals of the Super Rod competition. Who would you pick in this race?
My favorite would either have to maybe pick Don Strickland.
Let's see how he does. He's part of the Alabama gang of drag racing. He's in the far lane, and this is a close one. And it's going to be Strickland. 9.984 ET, 116.58 miles an hour. Don Strickland wins the Super Rod category. The Quick Rod category, Billy DeWitt against Butch Sutphin from Annapolis, Maryland. And these are some strange-looking cars, but they are the fastest of the Sportsman class.
Yes, they are. These guys run on a full tree, and they run on a handicap start according to their qualifying times, which means they can go full out to qualify and then try to equal that during the race.
There you see the Steel Warrior of Billy DeWitt, 45 years old, in his 20th season of drag racing, against Butch Sutphin, who has never won an IHRA national event. So Billy DeWitt, definitely the heavy favorite here against Sutphin, who is going for his first national victory today. And there you see him, the concentration on his face as it goes through the burnout procedure. And you said it is important for these cars in the Sportsman class to make sure those tires get good and hot and good and sticky.
Yes, these cars are probably even as important as the pro cars for traction, because these guys have a lot of gears in there. The gears are real low, and it's very easy to spin the tires on the starting line.
You see the Steel Warrior in the far lane. Butch Sutphin is in the near lane. And let's watch the start and see if they get off cleanly. There was a red light there.
Yep, looked like a red light there.
And the Steel Warrior is still battling. And now it looks like he just shut down and lets Butch Sutphin on. Butch Sutphin, the champion in the quick rod competition. Well, we're moments away now from the races for the money. The finals in pro stocks and pro funny cars. Tough job ahead for Billy Ewing as he prepares to go up against the invincible Lee Shepard. Let's hear what Billy Ewing has to say.
Billy Ewing from Snellville, Georgia, has pushed his 1981 model Chevrolet Camaro into the final round of the richest pro stock race in history. Billy, how do you feel your chances are?
I feel that I got a good chance. I got a hard competitor to run against out there, and it's going to be definitely tough.
Well, this is your first final round appearance in some time, since 1979, I believe.
That is correct. But I've had good luck this weekend, so maybe I'll have a little better luck in the next round.
Obviously, you feel the car is running well. The elapsed times have not been as spectacular as some of the other cars, but you've been getting to the finish line first, and that's what counts.
Well, we've been running consistent. That counts for a lot. We hadn't been up and down, and when you're not up and down, you run consistent. That's good, too.
Billy Ewing and Lee Shepard, it's kind of like David and Goliath. We'll find out who wins in a moment.
My music keeps me going in more ways than one. If I'm not riding to a concert, I'm flying to one. So I really appreciate relaxing. Just me and my Skoal. Skoal's wintergreen flavor is #1 with me. Just a pinch gives me real tobacco pleasure without lighting up anytime, anywhere.
Mr. Daniels, smoking or non-smoking?
Smokeless, darling.
Go smokeless with Skoal or Copenhagen. A pinch is all it takes.
This bartender's the next big league pitcher and loves to serve fire-brewed Strohs. See what I mean? That was his fastball. That was the curve. Look out. Wild pitch.
What was that?
Relief pitcher.
Strohs and Stroh Light, fire brewed for smoother taste.
First order of business in the pro finals this afternoon will be the pro stock finals. The competitors, Lee Shepard, who beat last year's champ Ricky Smith in the first round today. Lee Shepard from Arlington, Texas, against Billy Ewing from Snellville, Georgia. And for Billy, it has to be a dream just to even be here.
Yeah, he's got to have butterflies going through his stomach, because he is probably facing the toughest car and the toughest driver of all drag racing.
We might mention that Billy Ewing's engine was built by this man, Lee Shepard, the defending IHRA world champion.
It's rather unique that he would have to race one of his engines of somebody that he'd sold to one of his competitors, but that's the way it goes.
They're doing their burnout procedures now. Though these cars actually run on gasoline, don't they?
Yes, they run a high-performance gasoline where the octane is probably 115 octane.
I dare say not too many miles to the gallon, huh?
No, they're probably only getting about 4 miles to a gallon on those cars.
All right, we're off with the finals of the pro stocks. Shepard against Ewing. And it looks like it's going to be Shepard, and indeed it is. The champion, Lee Shepard, 7.708 ET.
Right there at the finish, you can see where that car just pulls away, where it makes a lot of horsepower, and he's able to just drive away from Billy Ewing.
Lee Shepard, the champion in the pro stock. He's the defending IHRA Winston pro stock champion. Looks like he put another notch in his belt towards 184 today. Let's go down to him now with Ralph Hamilton.
Lee Shepard, 770 in the final, winner of the richest pro stock race in history.
Well, thanks. It feels good. That was a good run.
Very close, 770 to a 775 for Billy Ewing.
Yeah, Billy's been running real well all weekend. Our clutch slips on that round, but he must have had some problems too. He slowed down a little bit. But he's been running real well, and it was a good race.
Well, #1 qualifier, winning the race. A nice weekend for the Rear Morrison and Shepherd team from Arlington, Texas.
Well, thank you. Yeah, we couldn't ask for anything more.
Indeed, quite a weekend for Lee Shepherd. And now we are ready for the finals in the Pro Funny Car. The competitors. First of all, Billy Meyer, Waco, Texas, in the 711 Chief Auto Parts Ford Mustang. And Mark Oswald from Cincinnati, Ohio, in the old Milwaukee Candies and Hughes Pontiac Trans Am. Now, because of a faster ET and time in the semifinals, Billy Meyer has lane choice in this final round. How important is that?
That's very important, because if something would have happened the round before with the track, the driver with the lane choice definitely has an advantage.
Tell us a little bit about what makes these machines go, the fuel that they run on.
These cars run on a mixture of alcohol and nitromethane. They run about what you'd call a percentage of like 85% nitromethane, which makes probably 2,500 horsepower in these cars.
The engines are fired, and you can see the concentration on the face of Billy Meyer. And now the top goes down on the old Milwaukee Candies and Hughes as they get ready for their burnout. The air in the Smoky Mountains near Bristol, Tennessee, how important is that, and what kind of feel does that give to the cars?
Well, these cars, being that they're in the mountains as they are, they have to take and definitely what you call hop the engine up. They have to make a lot more power by adding more fuel to it, more boost on the supercharger.
You see the top pop up there on the 711 car, the Ford of Billy Meyer. That's the escape hatch, isn't it, in case something goes wrong?
Right, that is up there for a reason. That's because during the burnout there's smoke that gets inside the car, and because the cars have been aerodynamically tested, they're almost sealed inside.
Okay, so you just let a little air in and something out?
Little smoke out.
A little smoke out and a little air in. And Billy Meyer has closed the hatch on his car, and you see him now inching up to the line. Meyer against the defending champion of this race, Mark Oswald.
Now they do what they call a dry burnout, which is one before the actual light turns green, and that's a way that they can set up to see if the clutch is perfect and make sure the motor's running on all 8 cylinders.
When you get to the finals, you really want to be extra careful and concentrate. I don't say more than the other races, but make sure you do concentrate and nothing goes wrong.
Well, you'd hate to lose on a red light, because when you're at this point, there is no other second chance.
Oh, you watch the tree, and we will watch for that dreaded red light and hope there is none. Let's hope for a good, clean race here in the finals of the Pro Funny division. Billy Meyer on the far lane. On the near lane, it's Mark Oswald. The cars are staged now, and they're off. It looks like Meyer might have gotten a little jump, and it looks like Oswald loses his line a little bit. The champion is going to be Meyer. Billy Meyer is the winner. His ET 5.776, 252.10 miles an hour, and you see them coming around the mountain and up a slight incline as they roll to a stop, but quite a run for Billy Meyer.
Yes, he did very good. A 577 in the high altitude at Bristol is a very good run. Like here on the run, you'll watch Mark Oswald in the near lane, gets a little sideways, probably has to back off the throttle a little bit, and that meant that he lost the race.
You see Billy Meyer getting close to that line, and Mark Oswald across first. He's just now climbing out of his car. Let's go down to Ralph Hamilton.
Billy Meyer climbing out of the car right now after winning the richest drag race in Pro Funny Car history. Congratulations, Billy. Wait till you get your helmet off right there.
Well, I can scream in here.
577 over 252 miles per hour, the elapsed time and speed. Tough weekend, qualifying on his very final attempt last night and going through 4 rounds of competition today, but the result, well worth it, winning the richest race in Pro Funny Car history.
Ooh, I tell you what, it was a tough weekend, but it couldn't have been better for the crowd. The weather was perfect, and just thank the Lord. Ooh.
Billy Meyer obviously very happy, and who wouldn't be? Well over $30,000 in cash plus contingency awards going to the Pro Funny Car champion, Billy Meyer.
To race fans everywhere, old Milwaukee means something great. It means the old Milwaukee race team, racing at its best. And Old Milwaukee means a great beer. Cold, crisp, Old Milwaukee beer. And smooth, golden, Old Milwaukee Light.
And Old Milwaukee.
And Old Milwaukee Light.
Tastes as great as their name.
Yeah, it doesn't get any better than this.
These are the men who built Mustang SVO, who made the engine turbocharged and intercooled, the shocks gas-filled Coneys, the tires Goodyear NCTs, who put disc brakes on all four wheels because they think more about precision and discipline and 0 to 50 than they do about 9 to 5. They are Ford Special Vehicle Operations, and this is Mustang SVO. Have you driven the best-built American cars? Have you driven a Ford lately?
Once more, let's run down the winners in the Sportsman Eliminator Finals in the stock division. Marvin Strickland Jr. from Roland, North Carolina. In the super stock division, having his best season ever, Glenn Elkins from Sanford, North Carolina. In the modified division, a 19-year veteran, Buck Jednak from Columbus, North Carolina. In the hot rod division, Jim Jackson from Roland, North Carolina. And in the super rod division, a member of the Alabama gang of drag racing, Don Strickland from Red Bay, Alabama. And finally, in the quick rod division, the winner was Butch Sutphin from Annapolis, Maryland. A great afternoon of drag racing here at Thunder Valley. The big winners today in the pro stock, it was Lee Shepard, as expected. And in the pro funny today, Billy Meyer driving that Ford. What an afternoon he had.
Yeah, he did. He actually came, what you might say, came from behind because he had problems qualifying, and it turned out he was the big winner.
Your opinions on the whole afternoon. It was another great day at Thunder Valley, which really is the best drag track in America.
Yeah, this is actually the showplace of America for drag racing, and the winners deserve to win, and Lee Shepard, like you say, had this one not more or less in the bag, but he did very good. Billy Meyer, like I say, came from behind to beat Mike Oswald, who in the start of the race was my favorite. I picked him to win.
Well, you've batted 1,000 today. Right now, let's go to the winner's circle in Ralph Hamilton.
Here in the winner's circle are two professional category champions in Pro Funny Car, Billy Meyer, in Pro Stock, Lee Shepard. Billy, happy about the championship?
Well, we can't be any happier. Like I've been telling everybody, it's the richest drag race in history, and we got the check.
That's all that counts. A tough battle for you, though, all weekend long.
We had quite a trouble all weekend, but once racing started, we seemed to get our act together, and I guess we're looking at all the zeros on the check.
Lee, how about the Pro Stock Championship?
Oh, yeah, we couldn't be happier. This is the biggest race of the year, and, you know, this is the best one to win by far.
Well, no problems for the Texas Trio, #1 qualifier, and here in the winner's circle.
Yeah, we had good luck all weekend. The car ran consistent. We had a little clutch problem in the final, but it wasn't enough to cost us a race, so we're real fortunate to have won this one.
Two very happy champions from here in the winner's circle. Back to you, Mike.
Certainly a lot of excitement in that winner's circle, and I don't care what sport it is, there is nothing like the thrill of victory.
No, the thrill of victory in drag racing and the thunder and the noise, there's nothing like it in the world.
For the losers, there's always another day.
Yeah, they'll be back next time, and that just makes the loser want to try a little harder. The winner wants to try even harder to keep a win streak up.
Dick Rosberg, I certainly enjoyed working with you today.
Very nice.
And thanks for your expert commentary throughout the afternoon. Also, thanks to Ralph Hamilton with the interviews from the pits, and to our Mislu crew, who did just a superb job getting the pictures that you saw throughout the afternoon. For Dick Rosberg and Ralph Hamilton and our Mislu crew, I'm Mike Hogwood. So long, everybody.
This 1984 International Hot Rod Association Drag Racing Final has been brought to you by the makers of Skoal and Copenhagen. A pinch is all it takes. By Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? By the Stroh Brewery Company. Family brewed quality for over 200 years. Brewers of Stroh's, Old Milwaukee, and other fine beers. And by the STP Corporation. On the world's racetracks, on the world's roads, depend on STP, your car care company. This has been a feature presentation of Television Sports USA, the Mislu Television Network.